Illinois landed some major transfers during the offseason, but can they make an immediate impact and get them to their first bowl game since 2014? Find out here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone utilized the transfer portal better than Lovie Smith at Illinois. The Fighting Illini bringing some major talent on both sides of the ball that could very well help them get to their first bowl game since 2014. Offensively, Illinois returns 7 starters, but they get 2 major transfers on that side of the ball. None bigger than quarterback Brandon Peters. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because he formerly played at Michigan and had playing time there under Jim Harbaugh with the Wolverines. He has not guaranteed himself the starting quarterback spot, as he will be battling Isaiah Williams, an impressive true freshman quarterback, but more than likely Peters will be the starting quarterback for Illinois in Week 1, and he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. They return Reggie Corbin, a senior running back who rushed for over 1,000 yards last year and 9 touchdowns, and then they bring in another transfer and wide receiver Trevon Sidney, a former 4-star wide receiver who was at USC, now transferred to Illinois and will make an immediate impact in the passing game. On top of that, they get Ricky Smalling, their leading wide receiver last year for the Fighting Illini. So this offense returns 7 starters, but gets 2 solid transfers in there as well that will bring major experience to that side of the ball. Defensively, that could be the strength for Illinois. They return 10 starters from a unit that allowed 39.4 points per game last year and 508 yards per game last year. So if they want to get to a bowl game, they're going to have to step it up big time on the defensive side of the ball. And they could do that on the defensive line, bringing in Oluwole Betiku, a former 5-star defensive end, also committed to USC, now at Illinois, and was the number 15 overall recruit in 2016. So that's a big-time name and a big-time get for Lovie Smith and the Fighting Illini in 2019. We have already given them the liberty of starting off 3-0. It's a very soft, non-conference schedule. Akron at UConn, who is slowly on their way out of the American Athletic Conference. And then Eastern Michigan, 2 of those at home, and I'm not too worried about this UConn team. Last year, Illinois went 4-8. It was their best season yet under Lovie Smith, who now enters year 4. Anything better than that will obviously be an improvement and a step in the right direction, but anything worse than that or right at 4-8, you could see the end of the Lovie Smith era. They already get 3 wins to kick off the season. That's the start they need. But then they kick off Big Ten play against Nebraska, arguably the favorite in the Big Ten West this season. Scott Frost coming in now, year 2 with the Cornhuskers, has Adrian Martinez, one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, some considering him a Heisman candidate in 2019. And last year at Nebraska, Illinois only fell by 19 points. Not a horrible showing. And it was on the road at that, which makes it a little bit better. But that was a Nebraska team that started off 0-6. That was a Nebraska team that finished 4-8. This Nebraska team will be much different under Scott Frost, and I think that Illinois ends up falling to Nebraska in a game that I think could be closer than 19 points, a game that I think could be a bit of a scare for Nebraska, especially early on in the season, but they're not going to have enough to get the job done. Illinois taking their first loss of the year against a very tough Nebraska opponent. Then they get their bye week, going into a game against Minnesota. And if this game was home for Illinois in Champaign, I would give it to the Fighting Illini. But it is at the Golden Gophers. And last year, Illinois, when it was at home, to prove my point, beat Minnesota 55-31, won by 24 points over the Golden Gophers, who finished 7-6 with a win over Georgia Tech in their bowl game. But Minnesota returns too much talent this year. 9 offensive starters, 7 on defense. Tyler Johnson at the wide receiver position. You got Tanner Morgan at the quarterback position. A PJ Fleck team that's slowly rowing the boat in the right direction. 5-7 year 1, 7-6 year 2. What can he bring in year 3? He will bring a win in a revenge game against the Fighting Illini at home. Even though they're coming off a week of rest, they fall to Minnesota. Then they get Michigan, and this game you can almost write off as an automatic loss. Michigan is arguably the best team in the Big Ten going into 2019. And I know you've got guys like Ohio State, Michigan State, Penn State in there as well, but Michigan might be the most talented team. They finally have a decent offense led by Shea Patterson, Donovan Peoples-Jones at wide receiver, and a defense that lost a lot of talent last year to the NFL, but will rebuild and restock like they usually do under Jim Harbaugh. The question can be, will they win the big games? This Illinois game, by no means, is a big game compared to the likes of that Michigan has faced in the past. They come on the road and take care of Illinois, I think, fairly easily in a year that Michigan could make the college football playoff. Illinois, that 3-0 start, quickly gone away. They're 3-3, 0-3 in the Big Ten. Desperately going to need to pick things up here. They remain at home, facing off against Wisconsin. And this Wisconsin game is one that I really think is winnable for Illinois. No doubt in my mind. I think they could beat the Badgers. Unfortunately, I'm not going to give them this win against Wisconsin. They lost by 29 points last year to the Badgers, and that was a Wisconsin team that was majorly disappointing. Majorly. They started off the season, I think, number 4 and finished 7-6 or 8-5, somewhere around there. It was a very bad year for Paul Chryst and his Badgers. But they're going to have a tough time, I think, even though it's at home, stopping Jonathan Taylor, one of the best running backs in the entire nation. Last year against Wisconsin, Illinois allowed last year they allowed 245 rushing yards per game. Against Wisconsin, they allowed the Badgers to rush for 357 yards. I don't see that much of an improvement in just 1 year against the run, especially with that good of a running back. They fall at home to Paul Chryst and the Badgers, and Illinois' 3-0 start is now 3-4. They are below 500. They got to pick it up if they want to go bowling, especially with road games remaining against Iowa, Michigan State, and Purdue. And that Purdue game I'm marking down as a loss as well. Illinois falling to the Boilermakers 46-7 last year, and Purdue's defense going to be even better than they were last year. And I know Illinois' offense is going to take off. I know they're going to be improved this year. I truly believe that. With Peters at quarterback or Isaiah Williams, whoever you want, but I think it will be Peters. An experienced quarterback there. The transfers they have. A run game led by Reggie Corbin, who obviously didn't get any attention last year, but rushed for over 1,000 yards last year, was the workhorse for the Fighting Illini. I get it's going to be improved, but it's on the road. Purdue's defense has 9 returning starters, and this defense of Illinois has to stop Rondale Moore. I don't think it's going to happen, especially with it being on the road. They fall to the Boilermakers, 3-5. Rutgers back at home in the month of November, where anything can happen. Usually this is the battle between who is going to be the worst team in the Big Ten. Rutgers has struggled mightily under Chris Ash. Same can be said for Illinois under Lovie Smith, even though I think the Fighting Illini had the slight edge over the past few years over Rutgers. Last year at Rutgers, Illinois won 38-17. And if this game was at Rutgers this year, I would be giving the win to the Scarlet Knights. No doubt in my mind, because I truly believe that Rutgers will take some steps forward in the right direction. Maybe not in the win column, but certainly statistically and competitively. But Illinois does host this game, and with the talent they bring in, both returning and through transfers, they will take care of Rutgers, and this could very well spell the end of the Chris Ash era with the Scarlet Knights. But Illinois finally breaks that 5-game losing streak with a win over the Scarlet Knights, gets them their 4th win of the season. They are 2 away from bowl eligibility, but unfortunately, 2 of those games are on the road of their final 3, at Michigan State, at Iowa, and then back at home against Northwestern. Michigan State is coming off a bye in this game, and while they did not face off last year, the Michigan State Spartans will improve drastically from what, kind of like Wisconsin, was a very disappointing season in 2018. Michigan State started the season off number 11, but finished unranked, including a bowl loss 7-6 to Oregon. If the quarterback play does not improve for Michigan State this season, whether it's from Brian Lewerke, who is our projected starter, or Rocky Lombardi, who had play last year, Illinois could hang with the Spartans in this game, despite it being on the road. But Michigan State will still boast one of the better defenses in the entire conference, and I do expect improved quarterback play out of Lewerke. He was phenomenal in 2017, struggled in 2018. I expect it to be back in 2019, and Illinois will fall to Michigan State, meaning that they have to win their final 2 to go bowling. And really, if Illinois is not expecting it, if the Illinois faithful aren't expecting a bowl, they can at least expect another 4 or 5 win season to show that they're either staying about where they are or showing signs of improvement. They come off this week of rest facing off against Iowa. Major revenge on the mind for the Fighting Illini, losing last year to the Hawkeyes on Senior Day, 63-0. They were shut out on Senior Night by the Hawkeyes, 63-0. And if this game was at Illinois, this game was in Champaign, I might be picking Illinois in this game. Truly, I would, because I have a lot of faith in these transfers. But it is a game at Iowa, at Kinnick Stadium, and an Iowa team that is once again the real deal in the West, as they always will be under Kirk Ferentz with his teams. You never want to underestimate them. I think despite the week of rest, it doesn't matter. Iowa has one of the better quarterbacks in the Big Ten. That On top of the defense that Iowa will be boasting, gets them a win over Illinois. They are not going bowling in 2019. Can they improve on their win total, though, facing off against Northwestern, a team that they nearly beat last year, falling 24-16 to the Wildcats, the team that won the Big Ten West. And if you go back and look at Illinois last year, they fell by 6 to South Florida and 8 to Northwestern. They win those 2 games, and they're going bowling in 2018. They fell just short, which makes you believe that they can win the close games, that they were just a few plays away in 2019 from getting to a bowl game. This game on senior night at home against Northwestern, a team that I do think is going to struggle and take a step back from 2018 when they won the Big Ten West. Despite all of that, though, I think Northwestern, with that transfer quarterback in Hunter Johnson, a team that I think will peak towards the end of 2019, gets a win over Illinois. It's going to be a close one, just like it was last year. But in the end, I think Northwestern owns the slight edge, and they're going to come on the road and get a win here. Wouldn't be surprised if Illinois takes it. I really wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. But I think Northwestern gets it. And Illinois going 4-8 once again, back-to-back seasons under Lovie Smith. The question is, obviously they didn't take a step forward, but they didn't take a step back. And if maybe they do win 5 or 6 games, maybe you see them winning a game against Northwestern or Wisconsin or Minnesota. Really, those are the only 3 that I could see going Illinois' way. Maybe Purdue if you want, but I like the Boilermakers this year. So maybe they do make 5 or 6 wins. But right now, I think 4-8 is the best case scenario. Is that, or my pick at least, is that going to be enough to keep Lovie Smith around one more year? Especially with all these transfers probably having one more year left with the Fighting Illini. Especially with it being such a young team. But 4-8 might not be able to get the job done. And Lovie Smith could be on his way out unless they can win one or two of these toss-up games that we have listed here. So we're going to be a very interesting season for the Fighting Illini nonetheless, especially with all these transfers. I'm excited for it, and you should be too. So guys, as always, thank you for watching. Go check us out on Twitter and Instagram at Gridiron Expert. And go check out our official website, thegridironexpert.com. Sign up for our newsletter for our weekly college football updates and our weekly college football analysis. And sign up for our expert picks. For just $30, you will receive every single one of our college football spread picks for 2019, including the postseason. And I can promise you that's a deal you do not want to pass up. So join our team. Sign up today only at thegridironexpert.com. And guys, as always, thank you for watching us here on YouTube. Please continue to like, comment, and subscribe. And we will see you next time on The Gridiron Expert.